Yes. And of course, I just move right in here to the VC. So,
That's the best place to discuss it, though.
well, that's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it is.
So, what's the plan here? What happened last time? Do you remember? Do tell. Yeah.
That's because it was.
Look, in a lot of ways, I think I'm actually better than Joe Rogan. But he just doesn't know it yet.
I mean, you're definitely better than Joe Rogan. That guy just kind of blabbles on about nothing sometimes.
Well, I mean, look at his knowledge level. Look at his frame of reference level. You can't really judge him for that. He does really try to have really really great speakers on. You know, and from his perspective, he probably thinks that Neil deGrasse Tyson is one of the greatest physicists on Earth right now, and he couldn't be further from the truth. But he
Yeah,
doesn't know that. There's nobody that'll come up and tell him that either. I mean, he's famous, and of course the guy's an MMA commentator, and he's really knowledgeable about some really interesting things. But he's like a more modern Alex Jones in a real way. Like Alex Jones, yeah, he's got his cultists that he's got, that he sort of runs his own little game. But at the end of the day, he has a very different way of approaching exposing disclosure and the truth and so on than Joe Rogan does. You know,
yeah.
turn the
I
freaking
mean,
frogs gay. You know, and Joe
yeah,
Rogan is more, he likes to have the Richard Feynmans. He likes, but it's not just, quantum physicists or anything in particular that he likes, because he's had Jordan Peterson on the show. He's very eclectic. Mike Tyson's been on the Joe Rogan podcast. A lot of people don't think that Mike Tyson is an intellectual guy. He's probably punch drunk, and that might be true, but um,
the guy's got some thoughts
the way
though.
that yeah, exactly. Where if you're featured on an Alex Jones podcast, he's making fun of you.
Oh yeah, I mean, basically just Comedy Central roasts at that point.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So they have the same objective, but they're sort of doing it different ways. And Joe Rogan, of course, he's not going to break the Illuminati barrier. He knows that there's rules to the game, and you can't say certain things, that you can't bring up certain topics. And if you do, you watch him very carefully. He will always divert every single time.
Yeah, it's because
You watch
he's
him carefully,
controlled
you'll
by
catch him
someone.
do it. You'll catch him doing it.
Someone's always
But
watching him.
yeah, if you're even more careful, like someone like me that analyzes everything, you'll notice that he steers the conversation in certain directions so that it seems like it's happening organically. Kind of like pulling your punches in a way. It takes a really, really, really good boxer to be able to pull your punches, and your opponent doesn't know you're doing it. So, he's clever in his own right. I don't hold that against him. But when you've got massive red pills, and you've got to literally stick a boot up the ass of all these little special snowflakes, and you need to do it rapidly. You got to break the rules. You can't play by the Illuminati's game.
True, true. What do you think of Steven Crowder? That's the other guy there.
Yeah, I mean he's Alex Jones, just completely different. I
Yeah,
mean
basically.
it's the same thing, but he's playing to a different audience. They he likes his military guys, and his alt right, his alt right group, because that's it's easy for him to fit in there. That's his frame of reference. That's sort of the aperture through which he sees the world, or at least that's what he wants people to think. Which is why in recent time it's actually kind of caused him some trouble.
Yeah, he's just targeting different fields is all pretty much.
Yeah. Well, investment. investment in terms of investment strategy. Yeah, he's like Alex Jones in that way, in the way that he looks at money. Because you'll hear him do his advertisement spiel. Alex Jones talks about selling his MREs and it. What does he sell? LifeLock. His own version of LifeLock or whatever that he's got
It's
peddling
like
that week.
yeah, he's all
Flavor of the
types
week.
of
Yeah,
weird stuff.
correct. And so that's why none of these guys can actually drop real red pills is because they still work for Mammon. They're still working for the banker's fake money system. And you can't serve your people and serve God at the same time. You can't serve money and you can't.
True fact.
He's Joe Rogan's dependent on that good cuck money from all of his subs, and that's what paid for his new studio in Dallas and got him away from California. So it'd be foolish of him not to recognize that. Unlike, if you will, a lot of rock stars movies. Look at Katy Perry, for example, or any of these famous socialites. They're suddenly losing a lot of viewers and stuff to other folks. I'm trying to remember. Recently, there was some famous chick. She has her own talk show or whatever and podcast, and she was ranting online about how she's more woke than Joe Rogan and she should get more viewers. She's losing she's losing her comfortable lifestyle that she once had because people are realizing she literally has nothing to offer them, and they're leaving. In the same way that people are leaving Twitter for Parler like rats fleeing a sinking ship.
The spell has been broken.
Well, no, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand yet is that the spell isn't broken. All they're doing is they're instead of doing a run on the banks, what they're doing is doing a run. We're going to create the same people who own Twitter. They're friends with the people who own Parler. Do you think that there's definitely investment strategy there? They're playing the game. It's more game playing. They intentionally are tanking one thing to get us over to another. That's how the political spectrum works too. Okay, we're being played. It doesn't matter if Biden wins. It doesn't matter if Trump wins. What matters is that they've literally tricked us into believing there are only two candidates that we get the chance to vote for, and we bought it hook, line, and fucking sinker. Well, I mean, there's quite a few actually. One of them was Vermin Supreme, presidential candidate. He created his own party.
Yeah, that's my guy right there. Vergon Supreme for Pres 2020.
Yeah, but Vermin Supreme actually doesn't have a plan, and he would be really, really bad for the country. It would be
Yeah,
cool because he would kind of rally a lot of people, but he doesn't actually he doesn't know what the best next step to do. He would just get in there and he would probably wreck a lot of stuff and cause a lot more problems than he would ever solve. He doesn't have a strategy. Yeah, you have to be pragmatic. You can't just go in and say, "Well, I'm just going to wing this, and I'm going to be president." So what he's got is he's taking his energy, and instead of dividing his energy into a strategy, he's putting his energy all into advertisement and getting into famous people, talk shows and so on, and just getting good talking points going. Um, that's what politicians are currently doing. Yeah, he's totally making fun of it, and it's making it's working really well. Believe it or not, he's literally flying in the face of every politician that's running right now because he's mocking them openly, and there's literally nothing they can do except try to pretend to ignore him. No, I don't think that's what it was. I think it was because he simply said he was a Republican. That's really all he has to do is say that he's a Republican, and people are going to vote for him because he's blonde hair and blue eyed. And if you look historically, Trump is actually not a Republican at all. He's just wearing the party because that's what gets him votes.
yep.
And as a billionaire, financially this makes sense. He now has more subs, okay, more cucks that are giving him money, literally, just because they think that that this is the biggest dog on the heap. But the truth is that he works for money. He works for the bankers. Look at what's happening with the Federal Reserve right now. Okay. All of it is a sign. None of this is an accident. He knows exactly what he's doing. Okay. And it's more of the same. In fact, it's worse even. Correct.
Yep.
Well, until they aren't. Until they aren't. Kennedy's an example of that. Yeah. And then another president that was fairly recent that wasn't a pawn in the game was the actor from California, Ronald Reagan. No, Obama was 100%. He was an implant. They groomed him. They groomed him. He was groomed for that position. They picked him out of the crowd and they wanted him for that position. It was very specific. They needed him to be able to control, and someone's probably going to get upset with me saying this, but to be able to control the black population and make them think that they actually have a voice and people are listening to them and paying attention to their needs. I think that's what the whole strategy behind Obama really was. Um, it was just an appeasement measure. So they just got another yes man in office. He did some really cool stuff during his presidency. Don't get me wrong. And I'm sure he probably realized that he was a pawn in a bigger scheme too, and that was his way of outlet, his creative outlet. But getting back to Ronald Reagan won completely by accident. That was a genuine free agent that was able to sort of sneak in and steal the show. They totally didn't see it coming. What was that rich billionaire from Texas that used his own money and he was going to run? I'm trying to remember that guy's name. I want to say Ralph Nader, but it's not Ralph Nader. Somebody famous. Yeah, he was a billionaire. Old money, you know. Yeah. Well, he ran for U.S. president, and he was making traction. He was using his own money to run as a billionaire, and of course he didn't win because he wasn't a pick by the elite. He was an actual real free agent. Now, going back to Kennedy, Kennedy was one of the ones that sort of woke up towards the middle of his presidency and was like, wait a minute, hold on, what's really going on here? And so he started wondering. Okay, he started asking the real questions. He's like, who are these people? They're saying yes to me, and they're doing everything that I want them to do. Which is really hard, admittedly. Let's say for example, you're sick. You know, if you don't know you're sick and nobody tells you you're sick, you'll never realize it. But somehow something gave it away, and he was like, this is weird. It's almost like I'm on a movie set. I think that was what Marilyn Monroe represented. That was like his mirror into looking into his own life, and was like, she's an actress and she has these certain traits, and it's like, I've been groomed with these certain traits. Am I just an actor? Is that what's really going on here? And he started to question the secret societies, and then of course he had that speech that he wrote, and then bang bang bang, the president went to Dallas, trying to warn us and let us know, hey, there's some evil afoot. But yeah, you're right. He was probably the last real president that we had, but he wasn't the real president when it started. You know, because the Kennedys are mobsters. That's why they had his own family kill him, because the Illuminati will just take all their power. They'll have nothing. And then of course they killed Bob. They had Sirhan. They used scopolamine. It's a really powerful drug. The drug cartels like to use it a lot in Colombia. And they got Sirhan to unconsciously fire a gun. Whether or not it actually killed the intended target, Bob, is yet to be seen, because the archive is so big it would take you a couple of lifetimes to go through all the documents and be able to put it all together. I mean, it's a gigantic archive. If you Google the archive for Robert Kennedy's assassination, it's this huge building. But see, that's the thing. Trying to get a coordination effort like that, you got to pay these people money to spend their time and do a private investigation, or find volunteers that have nothing but time, retirees or something that would actually give a fuck. And good luck. Where are you going to find them? Nobody wants to spend that much time worrying about some dead guy that was running for president. Yeah. Despite the truth being out there, you see? Yeah. People don't have a long attention span. Yeah. 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 Well, they're not receptive. You got to see. That's the thing. You got to catch. It's like a book. It's like a good book. You got to catch them within the first 3 minutes. You got to have them hooked. Like you got to give them a clip, that's taken out of context that seems because that's what they're used to, man. They've been programmed to accept, sensationalism because that's essentially what current journalism is. It's sensationalism. If it's sensational and if it catches people's eye, we've been like I said, generationally programmed now since before the 1900s. So that now we only accept things that are sensational and stand out. We've been completely brainwashed into doing this without realizing it. Yeah, we can. We can actually. Yeah. But we've been programmed to accept that there can be no revolution without bloodshed. Dialogue. Yeah. Okay, so how would we do that? How would we actually get the whole country? Like, okay, so let's not target the whole country. Let's just say 70%. Let's say if we could get a message out, like I tell you and you tell five of your friends, and then those five friends tell five friends, right? We can guarantee that that happens. We can get the message out, and let's say we get it out to 70% of the population. How would we get them all receptive? How would we get them, sort of in the mood to receive this information and actually act upon it, and not just be lazy and be like, whatever.
The answer may be not actually having the information as a direct information.
Yeah, make it like a puzzle, make it obscure.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
I, go on, V. Go on.
List of 50 things. What do you mean? Okay, okay. Hmm.
Hmm. I was gonna say with information, why how you get out there, you make it right. Like, okay, put this. I learned this from Project A9. Why do people like reading mystery novels, watching true crime documentaries, or or watching like a true crime show or investigation show? Exactly. People like
Yeah.
it makes it look like it's not the information that you're receiving at hand. It's the subliminal message that you put within that puzzle that it's being absorbed into. It's not the information
Well,
as a direct piece of information.
yeah. The answer, of course, that we're dancing around the fire of is something called WIFM. What's in it for me? You can't give them a direct answer. You have to let them. You have to let their own imagination sort of run away with itself and be like, "What am I getting out of this? Whoa, wait a
Exactly.
minute." Yeah,
Exactly.
amazement. Hmm.
But what you're dealing is
But
something that doesn't
yeah,
exist, or a
yeah,
piece of
exactly.
paper,
But we
or
can't.
a piece of metal.
Yeah, we can't quantify that. You know what I mean? We really can't. And so part of the problem is that people have this programming where they really can't think outside of the way that they've seen the world most of their lives. That's their frame of reference. They can't think of a future because of course, they haven't allowed themselves the ability to. You know, they're so focused on just getting to the next day or doing whatever they've been programmed to doing. Um, and so they can't think of a future that exists. They're like, and of course, their immediate reaction is, well, of course it can't work. I've only known of a world that this only works in. There couldn't possibly exist. It's existed for a long time, so of course it'll exist forever, right? And that's simply not the truth, you know. And they don't have enough details. Off of the details that they know, you have to fill in enough details so that they can have those questions answered. But they don't know how to ask the questions so that they can understand how that system would work. So they'll just immediately reject it. And then the other problem is that it immediately calls into question their right. They can't be wrong because that would mean that they wasted their life in a system that they never should have even wasted their time with anyway. And they don't want to, just like Santa Claus. You know, as a kid, you invested a lot of resources in your imagination and thinking about Santa Claus and the reindeer and all this. And so then, you know, it's a big disappointment when your parents tell you that Santa Claus wasn't real, or you find out by accident and you're like, no, everybody's lying, you know? How do I know if people are telling the truth about the Easter Bunny or anything else for that matter? Yeah. Well, and that's where this is where we're going to divide a little bit. I think that the German Baptists and the Amish, the Mennonites, for example, have a really, really excellent model. And let me explain. Okay, if you look at their communities, they don't have crime, they don't have murder, they don't have rape, they don't have any of the problems that most of the organized society that we have today have. They're pretty much non-existent. They don't have theft. Literally, they have none of those things, and they're happy people. They're incredible people. You really should meet them. They're wonderful. They run successful businesses because they can be trusted. They can always get the best employees.
Oh yeah,
They're
they're
great
Amish are great
people. Yeah.
people.
And so, you know, why does that model work? Well, it's because they structure their kids when they're young, and then they have something called roomspringing where the kids can decide either to stay with them or to go out into the rest of the world. But if you choose to go out into the rest of the world after roomspringing, that's it. You're excommunicated. You're not family anymore. No, it's not. Not at all. It preserves their model. They keep poison and bad ideas out of their system, and it works. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So for Rumspringen, you know, as a kid, you can do anything. You can do all the drugs you want. You can drink. You can go party. You still get to be Amish at the end of the day until Rumspringen is over. You get to try all the tasty treasures of the world. You could be gay. You can do whatever you want. You can, you know, get a sex change. You know, and at the end of Rumspringen, you have to choose. That's your coming of age. You get to make a choice. Now, of course, I think that room springing is far too short. I do believe that it needs to be done, you know, structured in a way, because we don't want children to hurt themselves, and we definitely don't want other adults, you know, hurting them. Pedophilia kidnapping, human trafficking, etc. I mean, you can do what you want. You kind of have a free pass because you're disabled and you're in a wheelchair. A lot of times, you guys get forgiven for a lot more than most other folks. Nobody wants to bother you. Bitch, I can help myself. What does it look like? Did I ask you for help? Yeah. Need a bumper ask before touching. Hmm. Oh, you told me. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So under what conditions? Like if you were gonna get, we'll go back to this. If you were gonna get 70% of the population and you wanted to get them all on the same page, how would you go about doing it? How do you get them all in an environment and in such a way where they feel trustworthy enough that they can be open and receptive to new ideas and actually pay attention long enough for it to like sink in and for them to like say, okay, let's actually do something. Yeah. Well, alter ego superhero. That's what you do. Yeah. And so, that's how you can sell your bumper sticker. Yeah. Well, so let me ask, do you have a pet? Any pets? What kind? Okay, there you go. Okay, so what you'll do is like for example, okay, like I have a kitten. He has a nose that has two different colors, and so we named him Harvey Dent. You know, from like Batman. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so hold on. So that's what you'll do is you'll basically create this persona for your pet, right? And then you'll create it'll your pet will have its own Instagram, will have its own Snapchat, and you'll make posts, but you'll be the narrator, right? And then so like for my example, my pet is going to be my superhero alter ego's lawyer in the same way that Harvey Dent was Batman's lawyer. And so your dog really is a real life service animal. So of course it even fits even better. And so it's a coalition. So for example, Harvey Dent would be a coalition for people to home cats, which also includes spay, neuter, and getting the shots and everything. And then of course yours would be for advocacy and awareness of service dog and the need for service animals and the trainers, right? Yeah. So or something along those lines. You see where this is going. So like the, you get the coalitions connected. You know what I mean? So like mine will be harveydent.org. We'll have our own website, our own nonprofit, right? You'll have your own website, your nonprofit that meets all of those requirements. And so then they sort of share between each other, and then all the because people are going to share the stupid cat videos. I'm going to make all these stupid cat videos that are going to be cute and adorable, and everybody's going to love Harvey, and everybody's going to fall in love with your service animal, and then it's going to go viral. It's going to be nuts. Yeah. But what you don't understand yet is that we still don't have our LinkedIn accounts. Now, I can easily get us 20,000 connections on LinkedIn, no problem, as a professional profile. So that the effect is how many free impressions can you get? Like how many apps can you use and get free impressions off of and be able to get a viral thing going? Because once we get it going, it's easy. All of our ideas are great. People are going to catch on and it's going to go fast. But listen. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. You do your alter ego. You only use your alter ego. You keep your complete personal identity completely. So like even on your LinkedIn profile, right? Even on your LinkedIn profile, you have a real alternate identity. Like, for example, mine's Alexandra's Filth. So when I create my LinkedIn profile, it's going to say Alexandra's Filth. And then so the LinkedIn profile that I create for Harvey Dent is going to refer, it's going to say that Harvey Dent is the lawyer of Alexandra's Filth. I'm not using my real name. I'm not using my real ID. Like my picture might be accurate, right? But and a lot of the information, like the professional information, is going to be accurate. So people are going to contact me for consulting and stuff like that. But they're not going to be doing it for the same reasons. They're doing it because they think they're contacting this cute kitty cat. Oh, isn't this adorable? Yeah. So you're narrating for the pet. You're doing all the pet. Do you see what I'm saying? So like you would only echo the posts from your pet's page on your professional network, and everything funnels back to that website for the pet. Oh, I have a hate group with 100 people in it. Yeah, they spread rumors about me in there. It's crazy. Yes, really. Go to Facebook. Go to Facebook. Search for what is it? Alexander White Oak and the crazy shit he says, or crazy shit that Alexander White Oak says, or I'm trying to remember. Hey, hold on. All right, I'm back. Okay, so there goes Kevin with his shit opinions again. Yeah, 110 Yeah, there's 110 members in there. 111 actually. Yep. Yeah, it's a real hate group. They spread all these rumors about me and say all this stuff. It's wild. Yeah, I know it's amazing. Yeah, it's great. And then you can leak stuff. It's awesome. It's powerful. So like you've already been to my website and seen the lighthouse, right? www.anon2020.com. Yeah, it's got ASCII, and it's a big lighthouse, and it says lighthouse, and it's got a countdown on it. It has the trailer for the documentary, and then of course links to my white paper and so on. And then of course there is a embedded, what do you call it, forum on the website. So the lighthouse is actually a global nonprofit think tank group that we came up with, the solutions for world hunger and world poverty, and an end to scarcity. We did all that in the lighthouse. So the lighthouse is like, Cicada 3301. It's the stuff that they're going to be looking for. So what we do is we run an expose on the lighthouse. We sort of drop little tidbits about it. You know what I mean? So who is the lighthouse? Who are its members? What are they doing? What are they up to? Are they still active? Can I join? That sort of thing. And that's the general gist. But the real thing is that we want to run, and we want to sort of advertise and lead up to a 5-day labor strike slash, we're going to advertise it as a party, right? And so the requirements for the party for are that you don't use the internet for 5 days. You don't buy anything or sell anything for 5 days. You don't use your cell phones or electronic devices for 5 days. You stay off of YouTube, Netflix, everything for 5 days. 70% of the population does this for five. Basically, you boycott everything for 5 days. And the idea is that we're partying and we show everybody that, look, the system needs us. It's not so much that we need the system. We can live without it. But you throw a party and you invite everybody. And so 70% of the population is only going to show up. The pedophiles won't show up. Everybody knows who they are. You see? The bad people aren't going to show up because people are going to know who they are. They'll get exposed. They can't come to the party. And they won't. And that's the real objective of the party, is to sort of create a way so that people can assemble peacefully without panic. They don't have to panic. So like in case of fire, in case of a drill or something like that. And that's the simple concept. It seems simple enough, right? If we can get together like this, it means that no one can pass the news. No one can deceive us by passing us information that we're not on board with. And that'll be like the general concept. How do we arm and protect ourselves if literally everything, if we can't manage? Because the whole idea of getting the coronavirus is very real, but this isn't a coronavirus. This is an information virus. So how do we keep from getting the information virus? We all get together with the rest of the people that we can actually trust, right? That we can agree upon, and we isolate ourselves from everything that we know might be that information virus.
Well,
But
information
we make it a
viruses. That's
party. We make it
right
fun.
there.
Yeah.
I mean,
We make
Project
it a
89 is a massive
Yep.
information virus. It's exactly that. It was described that from day one that the project itself is information itself as a virus.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, exactly. Well, because it creates a dopamine response, whether it's fight or whether it's flight. The dopamine response, that extreme. It's like bipolar mania. And getting somebody a drug, they get the hit, and it makes them. They feel something, and then like now they're involved, and so they're gonna want to follow through, or whatever.
Exactly.
I did. I totally told my parents too. Yeah, my mother was being manipulative, and I don't have to put up with that. Correct. Yeah, it's definitely a form of manipulation. Straighten up and fly right. You're gonna do what you're told, or else that whole like fear, retaliation, manipulation strategy.
Project 89 made a very interesting post just now. Very
Yeah,
fucking interesting.
about
Basically, just the state of the company. I mean, but they're basically what they're saying is that the company Project 89 doesn't exist. Okay, it doesn't exist with any particular space. It doesn't exist on this plane whatsoever. Okay, there can't be an Ed, and there wasn't a beginning to this project to begin with. Nobody owned anything of what they thought about the project, and it never. That was not a thing. The goal was to to put these ideas into our brains, in which we spread to others, in which we spread throughout for the symbiote. And it makes sense, but in essence, one of the things they state is that basically, um, sorry, I was my brain here. The project was never. It was only a collective of ideas. So there was no company that said, let's do this or let's do that. It was groups of people who said, here's these ideas. Let's get other people to think of those ideas. And now you have this massive amount of people all believing in this same core idea. It's exactly what you want, like what you're saying, where you how do you spread information to people? Project 89 just give you a perfect example of that. They had 4 people uh, from Neurocam, mostly Neurocam, start, and now they have a company that's probably thousand. They have a company that's worth millions of dollars, and their ideas are on the same page of thousands upon thousands of people.
I thought Neurocam got shut down. I thought all that stuff was done with now.
If that's what you think.
I mean, literally, that's what you told me the last time. So
Oh, well, I should clarify that. Let me clarify what happened. So everyone thinks Neurocam shut down in 2012 when Robin Helly left the company. Unfortunately, that's not the case. See, here's the thing. Neurochem did shut down in 2012, but not of the same month that everyone thought. For a couple months, they kept it very secret, but they actually did get an eventual new CEO into the company. Now, of course, you have two other side companies that were part of NeuroCam. One called Fiat Knox, and the other one was called Yellow One. Fiat Knox we have no record of, but we suspect that they were the core fundamentals of the start of Project 89. Yellow One was active as of 2019, 3 months before the Discord was founded. So, put it at that. When Project 89 decided that they were going to switch course, see, here's the thing. Project 89 pretty much dates back to, let me think here, 2005, when NeuroCam was still very, very much a thing. See, what happened was this. Project NeuroCam started in about 90s or 80s, something like that, essentially making it the first non-credited ARG. Okay, they didn't take off until the times of the first ARGs of the time, which I think if you look it up, it says like the first ARG that was labeled as an ARG was an ARG called the Beast. But technically, if you want to look at the scales, yes, NeuroCam was the first ever ARG. They just never called themselves an ARG. They called themselves a fourth dimensional art piece. So when it started taking off in about 2001-ish, a couple months after the Beast, we had a change in the CEO. The company CEO at the time was Miss Bridget Fisher. And at that time in 2005, they decided that she was going to leave the company and do her own thing, to form Fiat Knox, we believe. And at that point, from 2005 to 2012, we see the introduction of Robin Helly into NeuroCam, and he's obviously this big player guy that we drum up as kind of this creator of NeuroCam, even though he's not. And he's very stated clearly that he's not, but everyone's made it out to look like, yeah, he's the creator of NeuroCam. He's the guy who's behind this whole thing. But we all know that it's not him. I know it's not him. Maybe other people do. I know personally it's not him, though. And it's not Miss Fisher either, okay? The project NeuroCam was founded by someone called the Netanier. Do I know who the Netanier is? Nope, not even Helly know who the Netanier was. I asked them. Okay, so, and then from 2012, to 2012, we skip from 2005 to 2012. We run it under Robin Helly's belt. And in 2012, he decides he's going to leave his company. He's going to leave Project NeuroCam. And he's going to go publish his PhD paper on NeuroCam, essentially what he thing. And he's going to make it look out he created it. Like that was his thing that he created for this project, even though we obviously know it wasn't a thing. So NeuroCam got a little mad. And during his time, they actually partnered with a company called Yellow One. Now, Yellow One were pretty bad people. Yeah, if you want to look at them, I suspect them as contracted. I look at them almost as a contracted killers of Project NeuroCam, and that being that they would censor information that leaked out of NeuroCam. If someone needed to get kidnapped because maybe they talked a little bit too much, they would do it, and so on and so on. But they failed to get Helly, and he published his paper on NeuroCam, exposed the truth. So a couple months after that, they went back into secret operating mode for a couple months, and then they had a new CEO. I forgot her name. It's Zeltrude or something. And from there, they kind of operated under silence, and they partnered with. They also partnered with Miss Bridget Fisher's side company, Fiat Knox, at some point. So it became Fiat Knox, Yellow One, and NeuroCam. Also one massive group. They all kind of collided into one kind of stream. Kind of went dead silent until about 2019, and that's where we're kind of seeing the introduction of what is Project 89. So in essence, yes, Project 89 is NeuroCam. If I spoke about that last year when I was freshly introduced as an agent, I would have been killed probably. I wouldn't doubt it. The one thing I'd say I hated about Project 89 the most is they made it look like you could go into the Discord and you could speak your mind about whatever you want and not be judged for it. That wasn't the case, though. Especially when you became an agent, you knew that wasn't the case because we had people all over that Discord who were always watching that Discord, and if you showed signs of erratic behavior and such, trust me, if you try to become an agent, you probably look at that evidence and be like, gone. Yeah, I probably would have been the person to decide that too. But in the end, yeah, Project AI is just a collective of ideas, right? So it's just some people decided that they need to do this, and that's what they did. It's not like that Project 89 today, they posted this whole thing where they don't exist really, and it's just a collective of ideas and stuff. And it really honestly gets me going back what I said is that should I restart Project 89? If it's just a collective of ideas, are they empowering us agents to start those or think of our own collective ideas that we've gained from that project? I mean, it makes sense, right?
Fear. Fear.
Fear.
If only people would realize operating in faith is way more efficient and far more effective.
If you're talking about Project 89, no one knew they were being detected for fear. Or speaking out of line, no one figured that it was kept a very well secret amongst agents. Keep in mind that up until the point of when the thing went public, it was very elite to become an agent of Project 89. I'm going to tell you that right now. For me to just become it, I probably had to pass like 10 background checks. Yeah, plus it was probably that. And then I had to be handpicked by an agent for them enough to trust me to give them their information. Okay, that's how elite it was. And
Yeah,
NeuroCam was
it's
even
an
more elite than
extremely
that.
crazy vetting process. You know what I mean? Like I have a way more efficient vetting process than that.
It's not extremely. It wasn't. If you think about what was at stake, it honestly wasn't that extreme for a vetting process. I mean, in reality, Project 89 only wanted the best of the best. Okay, they for a while. Okay, for a while, I'll put it at this: yes, they wanted the best at every eight of the best, the cream of the crop. But they decided at some point that's not something that they should be doing, and they should just allow everyone to become an agent if they still wish to. A process that I still think was a major downfall of the fall of Project 89. Though then again, I was in a way brainwashed by them, but I don't mind that. Honestly, I'm happy to serve the project. I mean, Neurochem had some very deep secrets that if you probably learned about, you could change the way people think for a while. Especially, I don't think Yellow One exists anymore. And if they did, that's pretty dumb. I mean, if I kept going, I'm just telling you the base amount of information. Trust me, if I kept going, you would know stuff that would change history. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I have stuff in my computer right now that would change the way people think about early 2000s for a long time.
And
I
that's one of the
can't. I
problems
can't.
with the coming epistemological rupture is because, it's not like kindergarten where you can go around telling the kids that Santa Claus isn't real anymore. You know, there are some people legitimately that they're going to have severe shock. They're going to go undergo PTSD. The stages of grief and denial and all of those terrible things are going to happen as soon as they find out the truth.
It's
You'll
absolutely
become an
right.
enemy. Yeah,
I
you'll become an
personally,
enemy.
it's exactly right.
They
If
can't
I
they can't
released,
accept reality. They
right,
will completely lose their core center of self because they've developed this, very different center of self around falsified information.
exactly. If I put out the information that I have, I would be a wanted target. I'm guarantee you
Yeah,
that.
it's a
Not even
consent-based problem. It's a consent-based problem, and that's exactly the problem that we face with the epistemological rupture. We must do it, which is what I aim to do.
the stuff I know is still like it blows my mind, but honestly, it messes with it too. It's like, yeah, I have this information. I could change history. It's at the tip of my fingertips right now. Change the way people think, but yet I'm not going to do that. Why?
Well, the purpose and intent that's behind it is extremely important. The people that are running Neurocam, they're running a gambit, and of course, it's for money. Again, a system like that, the
It
intent
wasn't.
behind it. If you go using it, then of course you can cause some very serious problems. I mean, it has to be absolutely pure.
To
And
put
there's
it,
actually
this
another
narrow
a
cam was
more
all about
important
money.
reason. There's another more important reason that actually we need to be more careful is because when AI is created, it's going to know everything. Everything that we've ever posted online, anything that it can possibly trust me, if it can exist on a digital device and it's connected somehow, then it's going to find out what it is and it's going to know everything that we've ever done, all the good
Yeah,
and all the bad. So
yeah,
like yeah, it's a precarious situation that we're in.
yeah. Also, to put it that this bluntly, while NeuroCam may have been in it more for money, I will guarantee that they weren't necessarily in it for the best intentions. Project was very different. They don't care if they received pay. They didn't care if they didn't receive pay. Okay, they're in it to change the way people think. That was their main goal, was to change the way people think in the name of the symbolite for it. I don't know if that's. I know that sounds really culty, but that's just the way I was taught.
Yeah, well, acult.org is just, a group of people that want to plant seeds, man. Relax,
That's,
it's just
that's
a joke.
still the best website.
Acult.org.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're like, fine, we'll just own it then, and that's what we'll call it, a cult. I mean, how can you go wrong? It was an attempt by the NSA in real life to create a counterterrorism faction that was remotely controlled through cell networks. And by cell, I'm not talking about cell phones. I'm talking about cells like terrorist cells. They can operate independently, almost without instruction. And it backfired on them because it actually started a revolution of hackers and free thinkers that started doing exactly that, but they weren't working for the NSA. They weren't actually running missions like the NSA intended. Well, that's why I'm running under the Anon 2020 moniker.
Anon holds
Yeah, because I'm
power.
anonymous. I'm anonymous until it's time for me to tell you what my name is, and then it's time for you to vote, and you get to choose. Do you want a guy that you know is lying to you, but he's charismatic, or do you want somebody who's going to do a job and be your undercover boss and expose all the corruption. Every city I go to, it's going to be live. Everybody will see it. It'll be a revealing. You get that, or you get the charismatic leader that you know is going to lie to you and make you feel good. You get a choice. But they won't. Not when I do the reveal, because I'm a United States Marine and they love their veterans.
Gotta support
And
the
that party
troops.
that we talked about, that 70%, your mom's going to be included in that 70%. She's going to be at the party. Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. So a manager cannot run a Wendy's by themselves. A manager and a cook cannot run a Wendy's by themselves. A manager, a cook, and a drive-through operator cannot run a Wendy's by themselves. So what's going to happen is three people are going to show up to work very likely because they're going to be afraid they're going to lose their jobs, and they might work for a couple of hours and realize, you know, there's hardly any traffic, nobody's coming through, everybody is at this party except for them. So yeah, by day one, you're not going to have all 70%. By day two, you're still not going to have all 70%. By day three, that's when your party really gets going.
You'll have the
By day
people.
three, yeah, that's right. By day three, people will have finally like smacked themselves awake and been like, I'm missing out on all the fun in life because I'm so afraid that I'm going to get fired. I'm going to lose my job. And they can't punish me because they literally can't punish all of us all at once. What are they going to do? Fire everybody? They can't. The scab workers are all at the party. They go into party too. They can't even hire scabs. Everybody's fun. Yeah. Well, that's the other problem that this party solves is because everybody needs a vacation. We haven't had a vacation and had fun in so long. We've been at war. We've constantly been under fear. We haven't had an opportunity to heal. That's it, man. You know? And some people, they're going to party, but then, they're going to get tired and they're going to go home and they're going to go to sleep and they're going to relax and they're going to read a book for once. They're going to pick up yoga. They're gonna pick up an old instrument that they used to play instead of getting on their phone and going on Amazon and ordering things. By day five, the world will be at its knees. Billionaires will be requesting that people please turn on our TVs, and people will be wise to what's happening and be like, "Nah, we're not falling for that. We're not falling for that again. Please buy Amazon." Wait a minute. Why am I supporting Jeff Bezos? Is he supporting me? What's really going on here? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't have to be a part of this anymore. Without human workers, without the labor force, without the means of production, these people can't control our value. And it's going to be really evident really fast. Yeah, Zuckerberg,
Zuck.
Cook.
Oh, that's
Yep.
stupid.
Well, because Facebook aims to insulate so that they can control the narrative. They're branding their people, and then of course they need to, just like Project 89. They want to get the best candidates that are going to give them the data without any kind of struggle, because that data is worth all the money. Yep, 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 yep. So that'll be part of the exposure. That's why we want to get people off their digital devices and away from Facebook, because what the other cool thing about this is, by doing it, okay, and the real reason why people are literally going to walk away from working at Wendy's is because all you need is $5. 10,000 people investing $5 into the negative index of Facebook will start bankrupting Facebook, and then they'll be millionaires overnight. You can bet against like all kinds of stuff. It's really crazy what you can bet against. Yeah, everything. And so they can literally collapse and steal all the money from the billionaires. And that's why they'll demand that people go back to work. Because people aren't going to these stores, their stocks are not going to be doing good. And of course, you can make money off the negative index because they're not doing good. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh, there you
Really?
go. They're being censored.
What for? Was it reported?
It's because you're not agreeing with YouTube's ideals, and they don't like that when people don't like to adhere to their ideals.
What's Momo?
Another dumb thing. Yeah, I saw it. I mean, nothing that would set up the automatic bots. I don't think. I mean, there was nothing in the title that would have set off the bots to ban it. There was nothing in the video description that would have set up the bots off. The only way that someone there's only I can only think of like one way that like it would have gotten reported if it wasn't
All right, guys.
via a bot.
I'm getting exhausted. I got to go.
All right, man.
I'm hitting the sack.
All
Good night.
right. See ya. Buzz, what I was about to say is there's only one way I could think of why it would have been taken down is that someone complained about it and YouTube was like, oh, what the hell is this? But that does not make any sense considering you posted today. So, did you put that in the video description? Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense though because the way, from what I get, the way YouTube's bots work is that there's a long list of banned search terms to get you demonetized, and the only one that's available right now is the one that gets you demonetized. The banned one, I don't think so. So the bots just kind of scan through that list, scan your video description, scan your video title. If it has a word that is of that list, it is flagged in the system and either reviewed by an administrator or it is automatically just banned for racism or journalism like that. Yeah, I know. That's what confuses me. Yeah, but here's the thing: if someone, all right, let's say like someone just happens to randomly stumble across the video today. Like you posted, someone just randomly stumbles across that video, okay, and like they would look at it and they'd be like, some idiot, I bet you some idiot like would have seen it and been like, oh, this looks like the beginning of a terrorist group like ISIS. Oh well, better report it for terrorism or something. And then YouTube looks at it and they go, well, we don't know what this is. This may kind of looks like maybe a group of people. I don't know what it's really for. I don't really care. It kind of is a movement. Ban it. YouTube hates like if you like try to start like you want to post like a video on a movement or something like even if it's good, YouTube will like flag that down so quick. It's ridiculous. Fresh out of luck, humble. I don't. I mean, you could use like one of those Wix free websites and then kind of like use that. If you use like Wix.com, you create like a free website. You can really post wherever you want on them. Or you can use Blogger. That's a very popular thing for like that was a very popular thing for neurocam agents that like to post their opinions in secrecy and then like also like talk about whatever they want freely and without anyone like wondering what the fuck is going on really. So I mean, I would say Blogger. Yeah, hold on. That sucks. Jeez, that sucks. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, really? That's really surprising considering there's tons of I look up Tor videos all the time. Well, not Tor specifically. I look up the Onion browser and like I use it to install it. I don't go to high risky websites anymore, but I used to. Oh, that's a no no on YouTube. I've never heard of it. Oh, nice. You can expose people on that. Jeez. Yeah, exactly. Uh, oh, that's that. Man, they have been to the Hidden Wiki more than often. That's my main place I like to hang out. But dang, there are some websites on there. I'm telling you, that's you've seen this shit on there. Yeah, exactly. Man, no. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It used to be better way back in the day, 2012. Oh yeah, I mean you could have posted whatever you wanted back then. Probably no one would have cared too much. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that neurochem stuff hasn't been taken off of YouTube because I mean that guy there who's talking, I still can't pronounce his name. Um, Man, he couldn't have been wrong about Project 89. Like I make it sound like worse than it is, but dang, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll put it this: Project 8, not Project 8, Neurochem. Sorry, was the good, the bad, and the evil all wrapped up into one massive experience.